us talking about Tiger King?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm only one episode in, but God damn, Carol Baskin.
Oh,
God
you're not.
damn
You
her.
haven't even
That
hit.
bitch,
You haven't.
Carol Baskin.
Well, she's already like, I can see it.
Oh,
though.
there's-
It's that
You haven't
thing-
even gotten
Carl.
there yet.
Well, no, it's that thing where you're watching a show and you're like, you're gonna be a problem. I can tell. You're
You
gonna
mean
be
the lady who only wears animal print clothes and has animal print. She's allergic
Well,
to
yes,
cats.
and just like her weird elevated language that she does with her voice, where it's like I can't even describe it. Like what she's. It doesn't sound like a real person. You know how that one Theranos chick like talks with this super voice? She's kind of got like the opposite version of that, where it's like this like
She
talking
wants to be
you from on top of a cloud.
She's trying to talk like a young hippie, but she's like 60 years old, and she's wearing like a tiger print shirt with a leopard print skirt, and then has a flower crown on her head.
And she, I don't want to say anything. Like she is certainly not a hippie. She has taken on this affectation that she is somehow this Earth Mother that cares about the animals, and get fucked Carol Baskin. All of the people on that show, with the exception of the keepers, should be set on fire and sent into the center.
All right,
of the
I know
Earth.
you haven't seen it, but I have to share this picture in here because it's relevant.
Well, this is why. So my problem when I was asking questions to all of you before watching the show was like, okay, what am I getting out of this that I haven't gotten out of other coverage about Joe Exotic? And none of you were telling me because this is about the side characters. This is the surrounding cast.
It is and it isn't. As you go through,
but you know what I mean. Like on side stories, they were just covering Joe. They weren't going as deep.
It's the best way to look at it is like it's a funnel. It starts out with all of these other things going on, but as you go on and get further and further in, Joe Exotic is the heaviest thing in there. So he is going to push his way through that tube of that funnel.
Yeah, like a black hole.
Much like the way he pushed his way into some straight men. Anyways.
Because I feel like the two most evil characters, one of them barely gets like kind of an episode, and the other one gets like half an episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
so far, this is very.
Oh God!
It kind of gives me a. It reminds me of the better days of Game of Thrones, watching Littlefinger and the.
Oh, actually, that is like a great reference to it.
Littlefinger and what the fuck, bald dude, the spider.
Viserys.
Viserys, yes. Viserys. It's like them, and they're.
I'm trying to think of how the Game of Thrones theme would sound countrified.
It's just like you just have to hear it on a banjo, like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And it just has a yawl at the end. So hey, welcome to our episode about what we've been watching. Which I hate to break it to you, folks, there might be a couple more of these coming up sometime in the future as we're looking for.
This might be our main thing for a little while here.
For the foreseeable future, much like everything else. But I am your host, Erik Fedorchak, and we're going to talk about some shit. Who else is here with me?
Arlen, I just watched all of the Friday the 13th horror.
Oh God!
Oh wow!
up to part 8 because I'd already seen it.
Jesus Christ, man!
Let me know when you get to space.
I've seen the later ones like in bits and pieces, but it was like a dead zone from part 1 and part 8. You watched part 8 for MASH. Thanks, Cameron. Once again, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We really appreciate
You're
that.
a good friend.
But everything part 2 to part 7, I had never seen. I just complete nothingness for me.
Yeah, I just remember the lore. I'm like, 2 is where Jason shows up. 3, he gets the mask.
Right.
4 is not Jason. Right?
No, 5.
5 is not Jason. 4 is Jason dies. 5 is not Jason. 6 is Jason lives.
6 is Jason is a zombie, like full on zombie. Like he has stuff coming out of him. He like
Yeah, that's the one where he gets resurrected by lightning, right?
Yes, he does.
And then 7 is Jason in New York.
No, 7 is him versus Carrie, basically.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be Carrie.
Yeah.
And then, is 8 New York, and then 9 is Hell.
8 is New York, which is the film that me and Hunter had to watch.
Yeah. And 9 is Jason Goes to Hell. 10 is Space.
Yes.
See, I just resubscribed to Shudder because I need to watch Jason Goes to Hell. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Well,
and I remember.
Go ahead. I think everything past 8 isn't there, but I think it will be coming there.
Well, it's $5 a month. I can
still
that. Yeah.
Or you can just use a new email and get that 30 days free.
I don't want to do that. I'm old and the internet scares me. Anyways, who else? Oh, go ahead, Arlen. Finish what you're going to say, and then we can have everybody else.
We can do the rest of our intros, and then maybe we can interrogate what I thought of the Fridays. But everybody do their plugs and or their introductions. I mean,
I am America's boyfriend, Hunter Davenport, and my persona is Sam the Evil.
I don't know. I'm Lou Gonzalez. I had the weirdest double feature today. I'll get into that later.
Okay.
Tammy the T-Rex and Onward.
Oh my! Oh my God!
Oh
wow!
Diametrically opposed films. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about Friday the 13th a little bit. I will admit going into this that it's been a very long time since I've seen most of them. So my ability to interact, I've seen them, but my ability to interact is going to be limited at best.
Okay.
I think I've seen them all at least once and a couple of them twice. Sadly, I think Jason X, I've seen a lot of times because it was one of those FX movies.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll say this up front. I don't regret watching all of them in one day. I think I could have spaced it out to 2 days and been fine. I think I could have done that for myself and my sanity.
I feel like they would all start to bleed together after a while if I tried to watch all of them in one day.
Well, I feel like 1 and 2 are like a movie in many ways.
Yeah, they are. There's a reason that 1, 2, and 3 were compressed into that most recent reboot that they did. They did start to blend together. Around 5, it was like, okay, this is just one long movie that doesn't end, and the quality is really it's essentially the same thing over and over again past that point. 3 and 4 are definitely the highlights for me.
Is 4 or 5 the one with Crispin Glover in it?
4 has Crispin Glover.
Okay, I couldn't remember because that was the one I was always like, how the fuck did this movie get made? Like it's interesting and it goes so far outside of like the Friday the 13th that you expect, but it's still like I feel like this was a different movie and they just pasted Friday the 13th on it.
Yeah, I think that might be true. I think that might be the case because it doesn't work like the other Friday movies, and the characters are more interesting in 3 and 4. they're actual human beings in 3 and 4 with backstories and personal lives that are interesting. And it's really like weird to watch that and to be like, oh, I actually care about this person, and that's all lost in the later films. Like everybody becomes a caricature.
They don't in one way or another. Basically meat to be killed
for the most part. Well, so with one exception, and I think this is why there are people that do like 5 and 6, is that the Tommy Jarvis character introduced in 4, he remains interesting in 5 and 6 even after recasting for a third time.
That they were trying to get I think it's sort of 5, they were trying to get what's his name back.
That I would have been okay with.
I think he was doing Goonies at the time.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
he was doing Goonies during 5. That's why he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So they did this like sort of halfway thing where he shot the beginning of the movie in his backyard, and then the rest of the movie was somebody else. And yeah, like the Tommy Jarvis stuff works. He's interesting. The movie should have shifted to him being the lead character.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be. He was supposed to be. He was supposed to become Jason in 6.
Yeah, and it should have been. It should have been like a him not being able to, like, they should have done thing, but with that character, like, he's constantly not able to control it, and occasionally he just becomes Jason. Like, he just
I think he has to. If I remember correctly, the idea was in 6, basically, he's so broken from 4 and 5 that he just snaps and kind of is supposed to become that. And I think it tested bad, and that's why 6 is all cut weird.
Yeah, 6 is real. It's real strange. It's not.
Hunter,
I don't think it holds together as a movie.
Hunter, are your parents not letting you watch these movies yet?
No, my parents said I can't watch them.
No, I think 8 just traumatized him so much.
Yeah.
To be fair, I
scared.
Watching all these after 8, I was like, these movies are fine. There's nothing wrong with these films. These films, they at least like try for the most part. They do a lot of the basic stuff throughout all of them. It's really 8 where, like, I think things fell off the rails big time, and nobody attempted. I'm trying to
remember. I think 6 is the one that they always compare to Scream. Because I remember listening to How Did This Get Made did 6, I believe. Not too long ago, maybe last Halloween.
And I did not know they did that.
And I think it has, because it's supposed to be like a comedy, isn't it? It's like a dark comedy almost.
I wouldn't say it's a comedy, but I think it's fairly self-aware. It definitely knows what it's doing. I'm looking on the wig. It's like, it's self-referential humor, breaking their fourth wall. People compare it to Scream all the time. Yeah, and it's doing similar things. There are moments where it's like trying to break the fourth wall. It just didn't work. I honestly don't think it worked. I don't think most of the references worked. And again, like, the recasting of Tommy was not a good idea, because for one, they did a full glow up, and he's like he looks like he could be Captain America. Like, he goes from like a fairly like average dude in part 5 to like the most handsome man on Earth, and it completely kills the character.
Does he look like the Rob Liefeld Captain America?
Yes, he does. He's got the big chest.
Did you actually see that? What's his name that does all the really awesome art? Did what's his name as the Rob Liefeld?
I put that in the chat. Him doing Chris Evans as a Rob Liefeld cap.
Yes,
it's real good. Part 6, Tommy's not a good idea. I don't know why. Why would you recast? I assume I've been rewatching the 4-hour documentary about the behind the scenes of the whole show, or the whole series. Is
it the Crystal Lake Memories?
Yes, yeah, and that's also really good, and that gives a lot of context for things. That's interesting. So something that bothered me about 3, and it's like my one problem with 3, is all the girls in that movie look the same except for the black girl. Like, it's the same.
That's actually kind of forward thinking for that time period to even have a black girl.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it is.
It is true. But she does get killed first.
That's a given. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But all the other girls, they're brunettes with small eyes, fairly just average faces, same shaped chin. Like, I closed my eyes and I thought one of them was one of the other characters. Like, if they weren't around other people, they would look the same. I thought the TV was going to explode because they all were identical. It's really not. It's distracting. They could have thrown a redhead or a blonde in there just to help.
That's weird. Part 6 really loved Alice Cooper.
Yes, it did.
Well,
it did.
Part
Because
6
he
was
wrote
1986.
a song.
That was one of the things I was like, oh my god, they made 6 of these movies before I was born. Like,
yes,
that's
they did.
insanity.
Well, they just kept on making them. This is one of those things that's really strange. Like occasionally a franchise gets to do this, where they just put out a movie every single year.
I feel like that was just the industry then, because I feel like this is why I like those slasher movies, like this Halloween and Nightmare were just like all 3 of them were every single year. I feel like
Well, no, that's the thing. Nightmare, there was actually a fair amount of time in between movies for the most part. Up until the later ones, which were closer together, but still, like 4 comes out, I want to say in 86, and
4 comes out in 84. Oh no,
okay,
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Friday. Sorry.
Yeah, like
I think 4 was later than 86 actually, because I feel like 5 was like an early 90s movie, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, they go into the 90s because Freddy's Dead is like 3 or something.
I'm gonna look right now. Dream Warriors is 87, and that's number 3.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. See. Yeah. 4 is where they really like picked up. Apparently, 1
and 2 are basically back to back, and then 3 takes 2 years.
Well, 2 is such an odd duck. Like it's once again, it feels like it wasn't originally trying to be a Nightmare on Elm Street film. It feels like it was trying to be something different, but the way the writer who knew what the fuck he was doing.
Right. Yeah, well, it feels like the Halloween thing where 3 was meant to be part of an anthology. Like it feels like they were going for a different direction with Freddy, and like they were going to do a series of movies where Freddy's a little bit different because everybody's perception of him is a little bit different.
Well, that and part 2 was about a guy who's a little bit different.
Yeah,
there's
some subtext in there.
I don't remember 2 at all. I actually don't think I've really seen more than like 2 or 3 of the Freddy movies.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is 100% a metaphor for a gay man trying to come out who's in high school. And
110%.
If you watch Never Sleep Again, the documentary about all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, like when they're talking about part 2, was it the director who's like, no, I don't think that's it, and evereveryone else who was involved in the film is like, oh, this movie was totally a metaphor for a gay man.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's like X-Men, the X-Men movies,
kind of, but it's more blatant. Like Freddy pops out of this guy. Like, it's not that Freddy's trying to like show up and kill him. Freddy comes out of his chest and like is just like a metaphor for the dark evil he has inside of him that he has to hide, which
and go and pray away.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, there's a scene where the gym teacher, who's manly man, and bro, how you gonna be? I think he does drop the other F word a few times, not fuck, but but faggot. He drops that a few times. And
a bundle of sticks.
Yes, the way he is tortured and killed by Freddy isn't he like whipped in the locker room, like
something like that, yeah.
And
is this where he has like lines across his back in the shower?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the IMDb. I'm like, oh yeah, there's like some imagery going on here.
And there's a point where the main character of the movie is at a friend's house, and if the writer would have had his way, they would have just straight up fucked. Because the sexual tension is ridiculous in that scene. It's like, come on, boys, just kiss, get it over with. It's still it's good to watch now and know exactly what was going on at the time. But man, like, if you went in to see a Nightmare on Elm Street film expecting it to be like part 1, you probably left a little confused.
Yeah, they really changed things up there.
Yeah. But what else have you been watching other than all of the Friday the 13th films?
That's really my big one that I felt was appropriate for our show. But I've watched a lot of horror movies recently. I watched Fire in the Sky, which will be relevant in a week from now.
Yeah. I haven't seen
that. Talk about here.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's worth rewatching. I'll say.
I remember being very disturbed by it, but I'm pretty sure I watched that movie when I was like 10.
I can see being disturbed by that now. Yeah, it is.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like one of those movies where like my parents having or my dad having like a hot box and seeing movies that were very inappropriate for me. Like oh yeah, that's why like Puppet Master like really freaked me out as a child because I was like 6.
Full Moon Entertainment. They made Robot Jocks too.
God damn.
I don't know who wants to go next about what they've been watching.
I mean,
Hunter.
I've just mostly been
What you
watching.
been watching?
So, I've been doing this thing where I've just been watching stand-up specials.
Okay.
Oh, that works.
I mean, that's
Because I'm just like, I need some. If I not listen to something funny, I will go insane right now.
Oh, who have you been watching?
Bert Kreischer.
I love his.
fuck yeah.
I watched a little bit of Chris D'Elia.
I haven't seen his.
I tried watching Bill Burr, but he's like
angry.
Yeah.
In Boston.
I can't with D'Elia anymore, especially after the whole. My dad's a video game developer.
Do you know which movie we talked about in our previous show? He's going to be in.
What?
He's in that picture I posted before, where they're all in.
Oh, that's right.
Is he really?
Yes, he's on the left. He's the one with the black hair and sunglasses.
That's hilarious.
Oh god.
Yeah, again, I can't.
Because I would recommend
the whole thing.
Well, like, I don't know. Chris D'Elia isn't really. He's funny. It's just like I think Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura are way funnier.
Oh,
no,
Bert Kreischer's ridiculous. Like,
yes.
Did you watch the new one? Was it like Birdie Boy?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen that one. I saw his other two.
Yeah, it's really good.
But I would also say I loved Ali Wong's 2 specials. I think are on Netflix.
Oh, Baby really Cobra and the other one, right?
Yeah, I was supposed to see her in like a week. But, you know.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was a birthday gift.
Oh god.
Like I can't remember the last special that I did watch. I think it was Segura's previous one. I'd have been kind of
he just came out with one, and it's really good.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest going on YouTube and finding that This Is Not Happening, because Segura and Bert's are like 2 of the best ones.
They have some great ones.
Yeah.
This Is Not Happening was a great in general.
Oh yeah, it's a great show, and it's like crazy. I think it like changed a little bit when they got rid of Ari Shaffir, but I still think it was good.
Yeah,
that's where I learned you can drink meth piss.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can't remember what comedian that was.
Yeah, I can't remember her name either. My wife
and that wasn't even her rock bottom. Her rock bottom was like trying to use her sister's toothbrush holder and having the gunk in that mix with the piss. That's what's grossed her out.
Yeah,
not the
Well, she does a podcast that my wife, I'm not sure if she still listens to or she had been listening to, called The Mormon and the Meth Head. And it's them talking about her methamphetamine addiction and Mormonism. So it's interesting, apparently. Yeah.
Nice.
Lude. Oh, sorry, Hunter. Do you have anything else you wanted to say that you've been watching other than stand up?
Not really. I've been watching Next Generation.
There you go.
Nice. Wow,
that's been pretty good.
You've been okay. Well, we're gonna talk about this then. Because...
I haven't really been talking about it because I've like the way I watch it is I'll have it on in the background while I do stuff, and like. I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to it because like it's good. It's just like it is the best thing to do like while you're doing other stuff because just listening to Patrick Stewart talk is amazing.
Yes,
it's pretty good. His voice smooth, very smooth.
Like I watched it when it was airing with my dad because he was always a big Star Trek fan, and like it was definitely one of those things that like. Most of the episodes we really enjoyed, but there were definitely those few that you're like, okay, this is not the best thing. And
especially if you're watching anything from those first 2 seasons, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes where I was like,
yeah, and it's as far as I remember, it's not even like questionable content. It's just like this isn't very good. I'm going to do something else while this is happening.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
like a lot of it is like lesser because like there's some episodes that are really really good.
Yeah.
And then you get you hit a wall where it's like, what am I watching?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, they're on the holodeck in this episode. Let's see what this. Nope, this is done.
Those are the most hilarious. Like, oh, we're just gonna be in like Shakespearean, like Victorian London for an episode.
My favorite is a fistful of Datas, where it's just Brett Spiner in different costumes.
I love Data so much.
Data
is the best. He's a
reason why he took over towards the end of the series and like became.
He kind of does, yeah. Well, yeah, he becomes like one of the main characters on the show.
Well, once lore comes into the scene, it's when it starts getting real good for Data. Yeah. Lou, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I can go. So I watched like a random stuff. I'll go into the movies in a second. I watched all of Daria over the last week, including the
You told us about this.
Yeah, I started it. I finished it.
I'm a man of my word.
Yeah, it's like interesting to look back on the time period and like because it's like what like late 90s, early 2000s, and it's like and like some of the stuff, but it's like kind of remembering like I don't know, it's still like a really good show for like anyone who's like the odd one out or feels like they're just like don't like people.
So everybody listen to this show, basically.
Yeah, go watch Daria. It's all on Hulu except the 2 movies, which is disappointing. I had to go rummage around for them because one takes place between 4 and 5, and then the last one is like the closing out of the series. But then today me and my wife watched Tammy and the T-Rex, the R-rated version, which is on Shudder, which it's a weird movie. Like,
I got that from the episode.
Like, it's really funny. I don't understand the point of the movie. Like, I'm trying to think of like how to describe it. It's like I don't know what they were trying to do because it's not scary. It's like it has some of the worst effects I've ever seen in my life. And it's fucking hilarious. Like the green screen, like it's not even green screen. Like I don't know. It's like
it'd be blue
it's
screen.
probably old school compositing.
It's like it's obviously a cartoon of a dinosaur. Not even. It's like someone's holding a dinosaur, but they're like have a blue glove on and they're making it move up and down to show walking in the background. And then the arms on the actual dinosaur are tiny, but then it's like doing stuff and playing charades and like caressing hair.
Just from looking at images of it looked like an R-rated version of a Disney Channel original movie. Is that pretty close to what it's like?
It's pretty close, but like with way more sexual stuff going on. And
how does that work?
Like it's like very like there's lots of sexual jokes about like her and the dinosaur, and the other sidekick kid is like the most offensive in both being so gay and like so black. Like he's only wearing dashikis and being as gay as possible.
Wait, so is it the dude from the movie Mannequin? Like it's
not that guy.
Okay.
It's just some other kid, and it's like it's just so weird. But like the kill, like I definitely watched the R-rated version. The kills are hilarious. Like they're like the first kill, I laughed out loud because it was so weird. I was like, oh, that came out of nowhere, and that was so funny. And then the second kill is like even more comical because it's just like it steps on someone and it literally turns them into a fruit roll-up. But it's just a dude. It's like oh, the dinosaur stepping, but it's a guy wearing like the dinosaur legs as pants, and so like it's so rubbery and bad. It's ridiculous.
Is it just ADR, someone like crunching a bag full of checks next to the microphone when he?
Oh no, it doesn't. The sound effects for that are not even like that great. It's just like it's so weird. Like the music is also awesome. The opening song is like a T-Rex rap.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to watch this now.
It's not too long. It's 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's pretty interesting. Terry Kaiser being in it is just like astounding. But I would say the weirdest part is it has the strangest ending to any film I've ever seen ever.
I vaguely remember Connor talking about the ending of it. So,
it has like the weirdest ending. But then after that, I watched Onward.
That movie's great.
And it's so movie good.
I think we've all seen. Yeah,
I got pretty choked up in it. Like with the kind of the climax thing, like really got me.
We all have siblings here, right? Or brothers, or
not younger siblings, but I have siblings.
Yeah, I have an older brother, so like it like really hit me there.
Yeah, I have younger siblings, so like I feel like it doesn't matter which way that goes. Like I think you're gonna be affected by this if you have a brother or brothers. In my case.
Like a sibling. I think it translates to like, but like I feel like it's kind of like the guy version of what you get in Frozen with that relationship in some ways.
Kind of, yeah. It's doing a similar thing. It does feel almost like a direct response to that. Like, yeah.
But the world they build is so good too.
Yes. Well, just when I was watching it, like some of the animation on that was stunning, and like for me it was something really subtle that I was like, it was the point where the police are chasing them down, and they were showing like the quick flashes of the police car and back to what they were doing and back to the police cars. Like some of that looked photorealistic, even though
the hair is like a weird thing about like I was paying attention because it's if you have a Disney Plus, it's like 4K Ultra HD. So I was like, "Oh, I get to watch this with like all the things on my TV, and I get to hear all it works.
All the lights are glowing up.
Dolby Vision, all that stuff. Yeah.
And we set our room. We have like the color change lights, so we like set all that stuff up, and it's like, it really worked well.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The other thing that I really want is I would love for Pixar to do a serious fantasy film after watching this, because there's a whole lot of nerds in there who know exactly what they're talking about and what they're doing, and it would be awesome if they did a fantasy film.
Yeah,
if they did something How to Train Your Dragon like, but good for all three films, same level of quality for all of the films. I would be so hyped.
I would kind of love them to do, and it's like a very anime thing, but to do like a Pixar movie of people like living a true D&D world with like that they show in this, like, oh, there's wizards and elves and there's classes. It's like a very like anime does it. There's like a whole genre basically of it. But like
Hunter could speak on anime for us.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
But yeah, like the world building was so good, and it was refreshing because I feel like the next closest thing to this that had already existed was Bright, and it felt like people going down a checklist of like movie? Yes, and it felt like, okay, what did Bright get wrong? That's not do any of these things. Let's not do any of these things that it got wrong, and it just got all of the things right because Bright is
it's not just that, but it's also like the mom is like done so well.
Yeah,
and
she is.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, like, but like making that character like from the jump when she's doing like the Zumba thing, and then it's like, oh, that it cut like everything is full circle. I'm like, oh, my wife like really like she's like, oh my god, she's doing the thing on the thing, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I like that the mom is like not like she's badass. She's like, I'm a warrior. I was like, oh, this is good.
Well, yeah, that was the thing I liked about it too, was like it wasn't everyone is devastated by the loss of their father. Like this is fast forward like however many years, because I mean the youngest boy, the main character ostensibly, doesn't even know his dad. So
it reminded me in that way of like the beginning of Big Hero 6 that we don't get, because then they also kill off the brother because we have to be extra sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are the rules, Lou.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I went into this with no real expectations other than like, all right, Coco was phenomenal. Like that was a real return.
Coco's the best.
Yes, it is. Like that was a real return to form for me for what I want out of Pixar. And I went into this like, all right, well, they've done some Cars movies, and I'm gonna sound like a heathen here, but I've never watched a Toy Story movie, and I have no
Toy
interest
Story
in
4
watching
isn't
them.
worth it. It's
I
not.
don't.
I haven't
don't want to
watched
watch
Toy
them.
Story 4 because I feel like Toy Story 3 is such a good ending.
It is.
I have no interest in the Toy Story film, so I can't.
Okay.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
really respect the balls on Toy Story 3 for almost killing everybody at the end of it.
But it's not just almost killing them. It's like when they come to the realization that they're going to die and they just accept their fate.
Yeah.
It's like the darkest thing in a
Jesus
Pixar movie
Christ.
at
I
that
love
time.
it.
They're going into an incinerator and Jesse's just like telling Buzz to stop, and they all just hold hands and face the fire. I was like, oh shit, this is like fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a bit of much to drop on kids. But yeah, I went into this just like, all right, Pixar has been middling quality for a little while now, so let's see if they've still got it. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. I could not have been happier coming out of this movie. Like it hit all of the notes that I wanted a Pixar film to.
And it's so different. Like I feel like I like that the family dynamic, like you said, it's not sad. We have a dead parent, but but it's not sad. But we also have like a stepdad who's different. Like he's different, and he can't help but be awkward, like making him who he is. So like it's just good. Like everything is good, and the voice acting is like awesome.
Yeah. I would like to point out though, being that I've been playing D&D and Pathfinder for many years now, as far as I know, within the monster manual for D&D and within Pathfinder, manticores do not breathe fire.
Yeah. Oh, but that goes to like the awesome voice guest. Is like that. I did not realize that was Octavia Spencer.
Really?
Like, yes. And I was like, I looked it up. I was like, holy shit, that did not sound like her.
No,
and
I wouldn't have.
One of the cops is Ali Wong. The pawn shop owner is Tracy Ullman.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I can't remember. Wilmer Valderrama did a voice. I don't know this character.
Oh wow.
So it's like college. Oh, the guy that talks to him in the beginning at the fast food place.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought he was gonna come back. I guess he was just setting up the stuff about the dad. Yeah, a lot of the movie, a lot of it just works. I wasn't like overly impressed by anything, but I was never let down.
No, and I think like when they did the heavy stuff, like the stuff that that Chris Pratt's character, like the reveal was like so real. And it's something that like I like anybody that's had anybody like go through a disease or a sickness, like kind of dealing with that point in that person's like life. And it is like something that like does hurt and like scars you. And I thought that was like a great way to be like, oh, that is why this character is this way.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. I thought that was very well handled because I really wasn't sure where they were going to go with that because it seemed like where they were initially going. Go ahead. I
was gonna say it seemed like to me it was like, oh, he's just going to be the dumb dipshit character, and they're just not going to explain it. That's just who he is.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. But they paid all that off at the very end. Yeah. Like they definitely made the main character make the right choice there. So yeah. No, it was great. Like I was shocked how much I enjoyed it. So
and it's also it's kind of meta in a weird way. Like his character has the same origin story as Peter Quill. Kind of. In a weird way.
Yeah, he does. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the other cops is a comedian too. Like Lena, the one that's the Cyclops is Lena Waithe.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I thought I assumed she was Leslie Jones from fucking
So she's like that's Lena Waithe, and then the little one is Ali.
Okay.
When they get pulled over.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like the spells, you have to do them in a certain way, and it's all about building up the characters, and the setup and payoff is really good.
Yeah.
But again, the characters are just.
And I love the lean into like the D&D kind of lore. Like it works so well, and having the Chris Pratt character be like this mega nerd. But there's like a whole bunch of other like interesting, like the way that they have like, oh, everybody's in the school together, like all the different races.
Yeah.
is like real interesting. And then like even the stuff with the pixies when he's like talking to them, it's like, oh, you guys can't fly anymore because you're just like, oh no, you're not lazy. It was your ancestors.
Yeah.
I love that the pixies have little man syndrome. Degree. It's so good.
Yeah. So for me, that was one of the things I watched just today. But the two things I watched most recently were my wife and I tore through season 3 of Ozark, which I know people are of varying like opinions on the show, not because it's bad, but just because they're like, I don't know, I'll get to it. Please watch it. It's if it went on, like I think there's only going to be one more season. Showrunner has one more season planned, but it could honestly, I think, go neck and neck with the best of Breaking Bad. Like I know that's a very, very heavy load to bear on its shoulders, but I really do think it could be.
So I've seen bits and pieces of it, and like the parts I have seen are incredibly intense. Like it's seemingly up there.
I saw the first episode and I was like, holy shit, this is heavy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like the first season is good, but it's like how Breaking Bad's first season was good, that you're just like, all right, this setting, it's building. I mean, it was definitely less humorous than Breaking Bad was, because I feel like Breaking Bad was trying for something very different initially, but this show just gets better with each season. Like season 3, just the whole time my wife and I are just like, oh god, like just knuckles white. And just there's episode 9, I think it was, out of the 10 episodes. The actor who played Ward Meacham on Iron Fist is fucking phenomenal. Like it is his tour de force episode. Like I cannot stress how good he is in this particular episode, if not this entire season.
Right.
Like he plays a character that gets introduced like by the second, maybe, I think it's the second or third episode, but he's so good consistently through it. And it's the ending of the season. Like I was so stressed out, I started to get a migraine.
Oh, wow.
Watching the last episode, because we're just like, oh god, and then it ends, and you're just like, fuck. Yeah, it's just go watch it. This
is the kind of show where you absolutely need to watch the first 2 seasons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just for the first season, just to get an idea of what's going on, and characters from the first season do play a direct and large part of the second season. So you have to know who some of the characters are.
Yeah,
and it's a show that it layers like lasagna. Like it's got a nice base layer, and then the things on the base layer play into the second season, and maybe some of those parts will be removed as you go through, but you'll get more stuff to replace them. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and the Tom Pelphrey of it all it's got me interested. It's got me.
And Jason Bateman is amazing in it. Like I did not know he had this ability within him to be this good an actor. Like
is he the writer too?
I think he was a producer and director for a couple episodes, just like
I think he did like a lot of stuff in season 1. I remember.
Yeah, and I think that's what whet his appetite, because that's why he ended up directing the first 2 episodes of The Outsider. I think the HBO show, which was quite good. If none of you watched that either,
right? Yeah.
The other thing my wife and I watched today was Freaks, which is on Netflix. It's is it Emil Hirsch is the actor's name?
Judd Hirsch.
Not Judd Hirsch.
It is Emil Hirsch, yeah.
Okay.
There's 2 different things on there named Freaks.
Okay,
I'm looking at it, and Emil Hirsch and Bruce Dern are in it, and I'm like, why didn't I know about this before? Yes. How did I not know that's a thing?
Is it the working mom discovers superpowers?
No. No, this is bold girl discovers a bizarre, threatening, mysterious new world beyond her front door after she escapes her father's protective and paranoid control, which the movie starts off feeling like, oh, okay, did this guy kidnap her? Is he crazy? Like, because they've got all the windows blocked off, and like he won't let her outside, and the place is falling apart. And not to go too much into it, I mean, you can, when you go onto Netflix and go over to it, you get that little bit of the movie that plays or trailer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not revealing anything saying that this is a movie about a little girl with powers, but this movie feels like it could be an X-Men movie.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it is 100% worth watching. Like it's relatively low budget, but it's so good. It's shockingly good. Like it could be. I can't say that because it'll reveal too much. But yeah, it feels like it could be an X-Men movie, or at least it could be like if Marvel wanted to have a template how to do like an introduction of mutants, this would be the way to do it.
That's okay. That has my interest.
Yes.
Also, again, like Netflix, I feel like Netflix is really bad at promoting their own stuff. Like 99.9% of the time.
I don't even think this is a Netflix original production. That's the thing.
I think it is. Am I
no,
not?
It was at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything about it being a Netflix production. But I mean, I think it just got shoved onto Netflix.
It was
but
produced by Well Go USA Entertainment.
Well, I do think it might have been bought. Okay, no, it's not. So it's not an actual.
Rather.
Still, like,
yeah.
They're not good at promoting things in general. I'll
no.
say that. Like, occasionally they do a really okay job with something, but most of the time, like, I'm going to watch this because of all that. That sounds interesting.
And, if you're interested, this is also the guy who directed the live-action Kim Possible movie. So, I don't know what that means for you.
Okay, that does nothing for me. That does nothing for me whatsoever, but okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb. Yeah.
Oh, the people direct things.
Oh no, he was the director of Dead Rising Watchtower.
Oh no, that segue backwards a little bit. I do want to bring up one that I'm watching.
Yeah.
That I've watched a lot of. And it kind of segues off of when Hunter was saying he's watching Next Generation. The show Outlander. Which is a fantastic show.
Is it the AMC show?
No, it's the time travel show.
So
it's for those that don't know the plot, a British woman who is going on like a vacation with her husband after World War II. She gets sent backwards 200 years to Scotland.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Actually.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, because she's a British woman in 1700 Scotland. Things that were not great between Scotland and England at the time. And they go into that in the show. And it's a really good show. That's where it starts, with them in Scotland, and that's a lot of the show. And it's a time travel show. It's also sort of a romance show.
I was gonna say, can I make a comment that it's a romance show. It's based on like a romance novel.
It is, but here's the thing: the romance is treated the way that an action sequence would be treated. But they treat the action sequences that way too, where it's like they build up to it in ways that are like they telegraph it in ways where it's like to get you excited, but they clearly focus on making it exciting for everybody who could possibly be watching. Like that's their focus, to make it something that a man and a woman would watch together and get very turned on by, but it's very tasteful. I feel like that's the intent of it, but it's also surrounded by very good writing and fantastic performances.
You're saying there's monster trucks in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes, there are monster trucks.
Man, nothing gets me more turgid. Watching Gravedigger crush a bunch of fucking cars. Oh man.
You should have been working at my job a couple weeks ago. And the lead, Sam Ewan, who's the male lead of the show, he's fantastic. Just give the show a shot, just because of the chemistry between the two leads it's immediate. And and it draws you in,
They
and
were
it makes
fucking-
you, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. No, when it happens for the first time, you're like, why am I so excited about this? Why am I so happy this is happening? Because it's not something I'm used to feeling.
Now, with Lou pointing out that it's actually full on, like, based on a romance, was it novel or it's just supposed to be a romance?
It's a romance novel series.
Okay.
It is, yes.
Would you say it's as good as the Lifetime show You?
How dare you?
I was waiting. And can I add a second question? Have you finished watching Legion yet?
Okay, for one, I did finish Legion. We're not talking, not right now, at least. No, so here's the thing. Like, it is a romance show, but again, like, it's much darker than you would think it would be. Like,
it's okay to be into romance.
I would put it. No, here's the thing. Like, it's not. That's not my normal thing. It's not. It was something that I'm normally into. Like, it's kind of what I think True Blood wanted people to think it was. Like, but it's doing that, and it's doing it well. Like the appeal that Anne Rice had in the 90s, I guess. It has a similar thing to that, where like these characters are interesting and it's so well written, and it's a sci-fi show. That's the thing. Like, it is a science fiction show, just because of the way that they handle it. The stories are written a lot like Star Trek. Ronald D. Moore was the showrunner of Battlestar Galactica, and who wrote on Star Trek from Next Generation up until the end of Voyager. Like, he's got bona fides up the wazoo to be able to do this and to do a really good job with it. And I think that has to be why I like it so much, because he gets into these characters and makes them interesting. There are two major villains in the show, sort of divided by seasons, and one of them is Black Jack Randall. And he starts off as just like this character who you're like, okay, well, he can't possibly be too interesting or too maniacal, but he turns into like the most sympathetic yet evil person you've ever seen. And he's portrayed by Tobias Menzies, and I don't know if any of you have seen anything that he's been in.
I know that name, but I couldn't name anything that I've ever seen him in.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's one of those. He was in Rome. He plays Brutus.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's one of my favorite villains of all time. Like, period. Like, he's in there. He's in the rankings in terms of like villainous characters who you also completely like understand, and you understand why he's making the choices that he's making. He's not mustache twirly, but you get that same kind of energy from him. But he's just fascinating to watch. And then the way his character has this sort of feud and ongoing conflict with the Sam Heughan character, it's one of the best written things I've ever seen. Like, it's up there with a good run on a comic book series. Like, it's that kind of thing where I just want to watch it and I just want to like zone out and not pay attention to anything else because it's so engrossing. And again, the characters are so well written, so well developed, that I like scream at my TV sometimes. And I don't really do that often. So yeah, like, fantastic show. It just keeps on getting better. Even when they do things like they cast a actor who isn't that good for a certain role, I'm like, this show's so well written, I don't care that actor maybe isn't their best or that character is a little bit dumb. It's the kind of show where I'm just like, whatever, I don't mind that this show is sort of limping along in this one direction because everything else is just so strong, handled well. So yeah.
Lots of free time, so it's probably get around to it at some point.
First 3 seasons are on Netflix, so that's
I've literally been like clicking through Netflix. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this was on there. This was on there. because they have like the first 3 Tremors are on Netflix.
Oh God.
I mean,
I say the first 3 because there's like 7.
Yeah. That's not the. Here's the thing: those Tremors movies, they're pretty good.
The first 2, I think, are legit. I think the first one is legit. The second one is a fine sequel. I think I've seen the third one once.
I've seen the third one, and it's
Is that the one where they fly?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the fourth one is in the Old West, right?
Right. It's a series where like the direct-to-DVD movies that they did and the sort of lower tier movies that most people would write off, like they're better than they have any right to be. Like they don't deserve to be as well written as they are. I haven't watched the most recent one, but I've heard that even for movies that like are clearly cash grabs, they're not that bad. What I've heard is that the worst part is Jamie Kennedy is in them and continues to be in them.
I did not know that. Ooh.
Yeah. But
although I did like him that they're not. I did like him in Lucifer because he gets to play a piece of shit.
Was he in Lucifer?
Yeah, he's in an episode. I think he's in like a season finale episode.
I don't remember him in Lucifer. I must have blocked him out.
He's a rich guy who he's importing stuff that like a flight attendant gets killed, and then like another one on their private plane.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes, and then the end of it is he ends up dying from like a disease that spills into like the next episode.
Right. Yeah, there's a thing. There's a thing that happens. I remember this now.
Yeah, but like when you were talking about Jason, like everyone like, oh, there's a bunch of movies that like I want to kind of binge, and the one that popped in my head first was actually like the Desperado trilogy. I was like, oh I think I've only seen Mariachi once. I've seen Desperado a bunch of times, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I've seen once because it's not good.
Yeah, I didn't. Huh.
It's
Desperado's
like
the only movie of that truly good. I don't know if that's a hot take.
El Mariachi, it's like bottom of the barrel indie films. Like it's like no money.
Right. That's an example of a movie that you watch because of what they had available to them.
Yes.
Like that's an entire genre of like I know it's not good, but considering all of the sort of things that happen to make the movie, it's impressive.
I feel like if you watch all 3, you'll see like, oh, you can see the different oh my God, Robert Rodriguez is making money. It's like, oh, this is when he has no money. Mm-hmm. This is when he has some money, and this is when he has all the money.
Yeah. This is when he had that peak there of Once Time in Mexico and Spy Kids 3D, which Hunter said this a while ago, but Spy Kids 3D is Avengers Endgame. It 100% is the same thing. They do the same thing of the sort of on your left, and then everybody shows up. And yeah. Oh, did Hunter leave us?
Yeah, he had to go.
I didn't realize. I thought he was going to jump in here. But yeah, like it does that where like every character from the previous movie shows up to help save the day and fight a robot army that comes out of cyberspace.
Yeah, and strangely, isn't it kind of supposed to be in the same universe as El Mariachi?
No, so I think the thing is that Machete.
Not El Mariachi, I mean Machete. That's what I meant.
Machete is not a person. He's an nth dimensional being who can travel between universes. That's the only explanation for him. That he can just like exist in another dimension. He's like Dr. Manhattan. That's that'll be the final battle for all things. Him versus Dr. Manhattan.
Well, as Danny Trejo plays a character in CW DC TV, and DC owns Watchmen.
Oh God, that's right. They're all Machete.
And he can jump universes.
Machete didn't kill Michael in the Rob Zombie Halloween because he just didn't want to. He was his friend. Okay.
I was kind to you.
I was kind to you, Michael. Kills him with a TV. God damn it. That movie. That fucking movie.
Danny Trejo, 89,000 years old, but has looked the same since he's been in a movie.
Yeah, because even in the goddamn Dusk Till Dawn, like he looks the same. He just has shorter hair. Like, and his skin isn't quite as wrinkly, but that's
well, it's because he's like an old Mexican from South Central LA who has the worst prison tattoos on earth.
Yes,
for real. That he got in prison.
And the way he got into the acting field was via prison. Like,
he was a sponsor for a kid whose dad was a producer who then was like, oh, thank you, let me get you a job on the movie. And then they decided to give him, because he was like a boxing champ in prison, and he was training Eric Roberts, and they're like, oh, we need like a badass Mexican play his part. Oh wait, you're here. Let's just put you in the movie.
let's just use you. And he's been that guy forever.
And I think he said Rodriguez was like a assistant on that movie or something.
Okay,
because I think they hooked up like immediately.
That makes sense.
Like he's literally in everything that Rodriguez does.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, we lost Tallboy, but is there anything else anybody want to talk about? A game playing recently, or?
Let me think. Well, I am starting to rewatch Twin Peaks. So that's something that I'm doing. Yeah.
I mean, that's not outside the norm for you though. So
it's not, but I am doing it.
Might as well.
And I mean, again, I have the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I currently have Showtime at the moment because of all these 30-day things, so I can do the full rewatch. I think that's the only reason I haven't done a rewatch up until now, is I couldn't go beginning to end. I
have HBO and Epix right now because my one friend was kind enough to share his login info with me, so I can do whatever. But Epix, actually, if you guys have access to that, War of the Worlds is on there.
Oh, is that good?
The Tom Cruise one?
No,
there's been a couple shows, a couple different versions of it.
Well, honestly. But this is the most current one, because I think the 8th episode, which was the final one, just aired last Sunday. My wife and I are caught up, but it's actually quite good because it's not focusing on the aliens as much as it is the people and what's going on. And like, there's a couple different separate stories that are all connected in one way or another that are going on at the same time in each episode. And from what we've seen, we've really enjoyed it.
And is it modern or is it a period piece?
It's modern. Yeah. Okay. It's current day. Gabriel Byrne is in it, actually. He plays, I want to say it's neuroscience, something along those lines. So he has some insight into what's going on with the aliens. And I can't remember the name of the one actress who plays his ex-wife. But it's definitely worth checking out. Like, it's I believe it's a French production. So it's it's definitely got an interesting quality to it. And what you see so far that my wife and I have seen, there are some appearances by the aliens so far, or not even the aliens, it's just possibly their drones, but they remind me of the things from Metalhead from that episode of Black Mirror.
Oh shit.
The black and white episode. Yeah. So if you can access Epix somehow, I never thought I would be interested in something on Epix, but yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of days ago they had one of those 30-day trials, so I might sign up for it.
I mean, there's 8 episodes. You can binge through them. They're like 45 minutes apiece. So Yeah.
Okay, I did think of another thing that I want to talk about real quick. We all have Shudder, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have either of you two seen Daniel Isn't Real yet?
No, I saw the ad for it, and I was like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, it's the producers of Mandy. It's touting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fantastic. I think it's my favorite movie of the year so far, maybe.
Wow. Okay.
Well, most of the stuff this year got canceled, so
my favorite, certainly my favorite like horror thing I've seen in a long time now. Okay. Connor was talking about us doing like another Mandy type review of it, and I think that'd be an idea, so we could all go deep into it. It's really good. The main character, he played like the dumb boyfriend from the most recent Halloween. But he's really good. He's a very strong actor in this, and he's playing against Patrick Schwarzenegger. Yes, that Schwarzenegger.
The legitimate child, right?
Yes, yes, the legitimate child,
not the nanny child.
Patrick Schwarzenegger is a fascinating topic all himself, because there are these moments where he makes these faces and you're like, I know that face. I have seen that face many times before. That's the face that Arnold gives in Terminator when he's driving.
Wait, is he the imaginary guy?
Yeah, he's the imaginary friend. He's like the
I see
imaginary friend.
It's the jawline and the chin.
Yes, he has heavy Terminator Schwarzenegger vibes.
This shot is where, like, I'm looking through the pictures. I'm like, oh, that's like skinny. That's skinny Arnold.
Yes, he looks like slim Arnold. Like it's that thing, just Arnold, but like lanky. And he gives these expressions that are just fascinating. And then the movie's just overall, it's very well shot. The characters are all very interesting.
The priest from Daredevil is in this, who's a good actor. Peter McRobbie. He's a good character actor.
Yeah, and it does something that we've talked about before, which is that, like, the characters aren't idiots in the way that horror movie characters sometimes are.
That's
where
awesome.
like they go to the psychiatrist and the psychiatrist is like, worry about it. Like, he goes to a psychiatrist a couple times, but when he tells him about Daniel, he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this fucking shit. I'm gonna find out who Daniel is. And then he does, and he like accidentally summons Daniel. He like releases Daniel from his body accidentally, and shit happens. Like, shit goes wrong. Like, it does that thing where, like, you're always like angry that horror movies don't like call the cops or whatever, or like, you know, do anything. So is this like
a really dark, serious take on like Drop Dead Fred?
Kind of, but like, here's the thing: it's not grim. It's never like sad or depressing, because it does have fun with it.
Because I like, for me in this like time, like, I've been like kind of avoiding kind of like darker stuff. Sure, just because I haven't wanted to, like, I don't know, I've just not been in that mood.
Fair. It's more psychologically dark. I would say, like, it's dealing with like human darkness in that sort of way, but I wouldn't say it's depressing. I think it ultimately ends on sort of a good note, despite the fact that it is like kind of tragic at the end. But I don't know, I think it works. I don't think it's depressing. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and again, Patrick Schwarzenegger, like, I want to see him in other things. I need to see him in other things, because he's fascinating. So yeah.
Oh, maybe they could reboot Terminator again and use him.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I would actually kind of be okay with that. I'd be all right.
I was saying that half joking, but like, I was like, oh, that would be like an interesting take.
I do think it would be interesting if he sort of went down the path of, what if Arnold had just done horror after Terminator? Like, what if he had just played the scary guy for his entire career? And if that's Patrick Schwarzenegger's direction that he goes in, I'd 100% be okay with that.
Well, I'm sure it's probably easier because English is his first language.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
The scariest thing about Arnold in the Terminator is that he's mostly silent. It's a lot of expressions. It's a lot of like the way his face moves, the way he carries himself.
Because he looks robotic, because he's so angular and huge.
Yeah, like he's a presence more than a person. And yeah, like Patrick can kind of do that, but he does have like a personality, and he's also funny. Like, he's a funny villain in sort of the Loki school of things. And he's just a fun presence on screen. And you like him as much as you're terrified of him. Also, like, there are like creature designs sort of later in the movie, and they're all and again, like, great foreshadowing and payoff, and like everything feels like it was constructed, but it's not like Chekhov's gun type thing where you're like, oh, that came back. Great. I love that. I love that was a thing that actually paid off in some way. Yeah, it's just a really good movie. Like, people should check it out. But I do understand the whole horror not maybe making some people happy. I actually am not really affected by horror in that way. When I'm sad, I kind of want horror. It's when I'm happy that I'm kind of no thanks to horror movies. So
I think it's more like the captivity right now is more of like,
sure,
I'm just like, yeah, but like, whatever suits you. Like, I went through like, I think the first week and a half I watched like a shit ton of like goofy anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would just annoy me. Like I can't watch a comedy right now. I was gonna watch all of Community, but I was like, I can't do it.
No, yeah, that kind of like that much comedy would be too much. Like, I need like action or something that's like just constantly moving.
Well, also, so this is what I've been doing for myself, which is I'm sort of giving myself missions with the things that I'm watching. We can continue on this for a little bit longer. Like I haven't just been watching movies randomly, which is what I was doing for those first few days, where it was just like this movie and then this movie with no sort of rhyme or reason behind it. But I think I've stayed a little bit more sane by like, I'm watching all the Friday movies today, or I'm just watching movies about spies today, or movies about, I don't know, the ocean today, or something like that. Like, I think missions like that sort of help me process the movies better. I don't know. Are you guys doing anything similar to that, where you're just going in with an intent to what you're watching?
I'm kind of in a different situation than currently, just because I still have a work schedule. So it's like, I'll try and find something new or interesting, because my wife is definitely a little bit more receptive to stuff right now. It's also, I feel like, partially my mission to keep her occupied for the time that I am home.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't really have anything like that. I mean, it's a good way to go about it, but I feel like that's kind of what people should be doing, because I feel like when you're haphazard, you're going to kind of burn yourself out quicker. Like, if you're like, all right, I'm going to stick with this particular genre today, or this week we're going to watch like all of this series, or all of these particular movies in a series, or like you said, even just this particular genre of movie, if it is Lifetime romance movies.
Here's the thing. I don't want to make it seem like I am embarrassed by the idea of that. When I do that, it's a joke, because I'm but I don't care. I'm the guy who will wear pink sunglasses. Fuck you. You have a problem with my pink sunglasses? Oh, yeah. Like, I don't care.
And if you're ever feeling insecure, just say they're salmon.
Exactly.
I think that's honestly the best way to stay sane to an extent. I mean, you could be an absolute maniac like Lou and watch Tammy and the T-Rex, the R-rated version, and then watch Onward after that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm really.
Well, that was an aberration.
Sure. Yeah.
And we've also like, because like my wife's been doing the same. That she's like binged. I'm trying to remember. She watched like was it Unorthodox on Netflix? And then Cable Girls, which is like a Netflix show that's Spanish but dubbed in English.
Oh no!
You can turn the dubbing off. You know that. You can just.
She doesn't. She hates subtitles. So she watched. I think it's like 5 seasons, and it's about like telephone line girls in like I think it's in like the 30s and into the 40s in Spain. Of that time period.
All right.
What an odd thing to choose to watch. No offense to your wife.
And like, I caught a couple of like bits of it, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." I'm like, "Oh, are these people fascists? Where are the fascists? The fascists have to."
Exactly. Yeah, there are a lot of shows like that where I would be interested, but I kind of have a similar thing to your wife, where I have to watch the subtitle version. The dubbed version will drive me up a
I'm subs over dubs all the time. She also watched AJ and the Queen, which is the RuPaul show, and I saw some of that, and it looked really good. But she was already like halfway in by the time I saw it.
I've heard nothing but good things about that. Yeah,
it's an interesting. It's like a dramedy, I guess, of like him and this kid On the Run.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it basically comes down to there is stuff out there, and hopefully, with everyone being stuck at home watching all this stuff, like the cream will rise to the top, for lack of a better term. Like the stuff that deserves more seasons will get more seasons, and the stuff that doesn't will fall off the face of the earth. But unfortunately, I think whatever Netflix algorithms are out there are going to, unfortunately, make us get like 6 more seasons of terrible shows.
Yeah, well, I know they renewed Lock and Key for another season.
That's weird.
I was like, I watched that I think the first week it came out, and I was like,
yeah. I don't know how deep you got into Erik, but October Faction's a better show than Lock and Key.
Well, that got canceled, so it's that one season. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, and spoilers here potentially for anybody who's listening at this point. But am I correct in remembering you said find out that they're kind of the Nazis, the October Effect? Okay, that's what I thought.
You find out that they're basically fascists. They're replace gays and Jews for vampires and other monsters.
That's what I thought, because when we started watching it, I told my wife hey, there's supposed to be a really interesting twist, and she's like, okay. And we got I want to say 3 or 4 episodes in, and then something else came out that we were definitely more excited about seeing. So we'll come back to it, because
I could understand if you don't, though. I could completely get it.
We enjoyed what we saw of it. It's just like I said, there was something that excited us more that came out, and we're like, all right, let's watch this.
What is it, a story about a man, meth, and tigers?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, with the thing about things ending or not getting a second season, there are a lot of shows like that where I'm interested in that show, but if I know that that's going to be the one season and it could end bad, I'm not going to watch to the very end. I recently got to binge the second season of Counterpart, which I've talked about on the show before, and how much I love that first season. But the third season got canceled, and I'm not watching the finale of the second season, because it's why would I do that to myself? Why would I? Especially if I know that it could end on a place where it's that's how they wrap it up. That's not a proper way to end this show. So I could see somebody seeing October Faction and not wanting to get into it because it's just a season.
Well, we started watching it before that even got announced that it got canceled, because that just got announced last week.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's that had no play in us being oh, well, we're not going to finish this. It was like I said, it was just oh, this is on now, let's watch this. Like Lou said, I think we started watching Tiger King and we're like, oh my god,
Tiger King, man.
Yeah, dude.
We talked about that.
We can't until you finish it. We really can't.
Yeah,
and you need to finish it tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorrow. I'm only on the first episode, but we'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it's only 7 episodes, so you only got 6 more to go.
That's
and
true.
You watched all of the Friday the 13th movies in one day, so don't you dare.
I'm about to go listen. Apparently, there's a podcast on. I was like, ooh, because I was listening to. Did you listen to the newest? What do you call it? Last podcast.
I'm behind by.
The newest one, they covered the one that they talk about in episode 1, where the guy killed himself and let all the animals out.
Oh,
right.
That guy. Yeah.
That is Side Stories. Yeah, the most recent Side Stories. That's what it's called.
No. They did. No, it's not Side Stories. It's what was it?
Are you sure? Or do you mean it's Relaxed
Fit? Yeah.
Right. Well, I just put that in the same.
Okay. Right. Yeah. And so I don't know. That show is awesome.
Yeah.
The Tiger King thing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Because of the way this is all working and not working, I'm doing what I used to do during the summers in between school, where I'm not getting to sleep till 3 a.m. Because why should I? Why should I go to bed at a reasonable time?
Exactly.
So I probably will watch the majority of Tiger King, or I'll get deeper into Twin Peaks again. One or the other, or both. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Well, I think with that note, we should probably close it out because I feel like we're definitely losing steam and just kind of meandering around. So
I'm surprised we're this far in. I'm surprised we made it.
Yeah. Well, I've been your host, Erik Fedorchak. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. There's pictures of dogs and cats, foods, and comics. I haven't really posted a whole lot recently just because anxiety, depression, and also floating around the Phantom Zone. I'm there. You can be there too if you want to join. We might even just not even care if you answer the questions or not. If you seem like you're actually a human being instead of some robot, or you're someone who has a name can't pronounce and you have like 15 pictures of women from modeling agencies that you obviously don't know as
from Yugoslavia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Just please don't be a bot, or please don't be someone who is just going to come on and try and sell us Uggs. Outside of that, just enjoy what you're watching and realize that you don't have to sit through shit just because you don't have anything else to do. And hey, it's not illegal to go outside and walk around. Just practice social distancing. Yeah,
just don't tackle every person you see.
Yeah,
just give everybody a high five.
Exactly. Yeah. And make sure you lick every.
Yeah. Let's see. Plugs. I did this an hour ago, but different state then. Lost Hero podcast. We are starting the James Bond podcast thing that is yet unnamed. That will be a monthly show, depending on how things work out and how well we do with covering episodes. Or covering the
podcast
movies,
twice.
God damn it. So yeah. And also, if you're just a friend of ours listening to this and you want to be a guest, let me know.
Yeah.
Because I would love guests, especially for Bond. So
I will say it every time. There's only one movie you have to have me on.
Oh, I know. We've talked about this. We need to have you on for the Korean man who
turns white
through bone marrow transplants
and laser diamonds.
That's how that works.
This is the problem. Of all the possible ways you could do that, it might be bone marrow transplants. But there's no science to support that could be a thing. Nobody's ever done that. So,
pretty sure a bone marrow transplant doesn't change your bone and facial structure. Yeah.
It's
and
that's not even talking about the Madonna scene with the
God damn
where
it.
they fence.
God damn it, that movie.
That movie's so fucking bad.
Here's the thing. I love James Bond, but that movie, it's like being pulled across a road that is crumbling at a high speed. It's like, you're just waiting for it to end the entire time.
I would love to just talk about, is Pierce Brosnan have the worst average of good Bond movies?
No,
because I think he only has like one, maybe two good ones.
No,
out of four.
Okay, well, if you're going to be on the Pierce episode, we'll talk about that in depth.
Yeah,
but no, he has a good one, two like middle of the road, and then the worst piece of shit, Sense of You to a Kill, and Until Spectre. Like, those are the three worst Bond movies as far as I'm concerned. But only one of them can I not watch, period. Like, it's just impossible for me.
Die Another Day is so bad that it's watchable. I
can't. It's because it's that 2000s thing where everything's bleached out and not exposed correctly. The colors are bad.
It's also when he's old. Like, that's the one where which is the same problem that
A View to a
Kill has, where he's old.
He's old and he's visibly like, Grace Jones is like choking him and like hurting him. You can see her bruising him with her giant arms compared to him. It's not right. It's not good. And then Spectre is its own bag of tentacles. Just I had another thing. Follow me on Instagram at Space Columbo if you wanna see my Vine that I'm drinking and other things that I'm doing. Not a lot of movie stubs on there because I can't go to the movies, so I'm doing other things. What is film? What is
exactly?
What is projector? Yeah. I deleted my movie apps today because I was like, oh, I'm not going to use those for a while, am I? Yeah. Lou, did you actually do plugs?
No, I didn't. Just listen to the comic show. I think the next show we read Sex Castle, and we're going to talk about it.
I've heard that's good.
It's a one-shot book. It's interesting and funny. Like, it's definitely like a good read for right now. Especially like as like a kind of weird comedy-esque book. It's kind of like it's like Snake Plissken, but like in a goofy, like over the top, killing everybody in hilarious ways.
Okay.
Yeah, it reminded me of the character from Billy and Mandy. That's like the Snake Plissken like character.
No idea.
Do you know who I'm talking about at all?
So far outside my time.
No, I know. Yeah,
the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah, they have like a werewolf monster hunter character who's a reoccurring, and he looks exactly
he's
like
Snake Plissken, but with like the shotgun arm.
Yes, he's fantastic. He's like a total send up of all the 80s characters, and at one point they do like a team up episode where it's him and a bunch of monsters. It's sort of like a Suicide Squad thing. It's him, Grim, who's the Grim Reaper for those who don't know, Blackula.
Wait, what? Blackula was on a kids cartoon?
Yes. Have you never seen anything from Billy and Mandy?
Billy and Mandy is really good.
I'm 42. No, I haven't.
Dude, okay. Billy and Mandy is the kind of show that. Okay, this is great because it's not made for kids at all. Like, did you ever see Courage the Cowardly Dog either?
A little bit here and there, but that was once again like right on the borderline of me not giving a shit about cartoons anymore.
Yeah, it's the same thing where like these animators are not making these shows for kids. They're clearly making them for adults, and they're hoping the kids won't turn it off because of the colors and because of the designs. But Billy and Mandy is it's a horror show, really.
Yeah, it is a horror show. It's Bill and Ted. Basically, is the premise to start off, except Mandy is the most evil character of all time. She's like evil and Daria at the same time, and Billy is basically like mentally challenged.
Okay.
He takes his own nose off to show that he has no brain, so people can look to his head. It's one of those shows where it's like the jokes are on such another level and you have to like reshape your brain to be like, oh, okay, that's what they were going for. Like there's so many good running bits, but oh god, like,
and they did crossovers too, because they did like a thing with The Kids Next Door and something else that was really good.
Yeah, they did. It was great. Well, and Grim started off as a character in a show called Grim and Evil. Grim and Evil. Evil is a show that wasn't as good, about a brain of like a supervillain who is trapped in the body of a bear.
I remember this. Oh my god.
And the bear just like wants nothing to do with any of it. The bear is just like trying to do bear things while he's trying to be a supervillain. And he has all these supervillain lackeys. He's got a guy with a lightning bolt scar on his eye, and a Frau Farbizna character who's like totally into him despite being just a brain attached to a bear.
Of all the characters,
like it's such an inventive show about some really just. Oh, that's right. So his only surviving organs, brain and his colon. The villain who's possessing the bear. It's great. You should watch it. It's worth your time. Yeah.
And Billy's dad is a great character.
God damn it, this show. God damn it, this show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch the show this week. But yeah, Sex Castle is really good. I would say it's like a lot like Broforce as well, because like I said, I put a picture in here. It's like there's other assassins and their goofs. So there's like Dutch Matrix and Spartan Cabretti.
Yeah, I see that.
And yeah, it works. Yeah. The Damn Twins and Thunderbutt.
Okay, that looks great. That's
yeah.
Perfect.
Oh my, it's shit. Who did that? But yeah, it's very fun. And if you like that, I would say it's Kyle Starks. I would also say to go check out Assassination that came out last year, which is also really good. It's a little bit more serious, but it's kind of similar. That's the one where there's one of the characters' names is literally Chekhov's gun.
Nice.
And I think one of the other names is like fuck Tarkington.
Very good.
But yeah, check all that stuff out.
All right, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're good for the evening, everyone. I
bye.
hope you enjoyed yourselves. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.